So let's talk about how I accidentally exposed the groupthink and the racism in the Overwatch community by accident. So this video may be a little bit longer. I hate when people do the like 10-part things. I'm gonna just try to keep it into one video. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but yeah, buckle up. So for context, there's a meme trending right now, and it's called the I try not to K myself meme, where basically you recall an awkward, funny, cringeworthy memory through text, and you put it on the sound, which is I try not to K myself. So as a gaming creator that focuses mainly on Overwatch, of course, I'm going to use an Overwatch memory. And so one of the funniest things I can remember years ago, I was asked to speak on what heroes I would want to see in the game and what heroes I thought Overwatch was going to put in the game, which led to like a 15-minute discussion about specifically what kind of heroes I wanted to see in the game. Primarily tanks and supports, and what kind of tanks and supports I wanted to see. Towards the very end of the conversation, I briefly mentioned that there were no black female playable heroes, and that I thought Overwatch should just add a black female character to the roster. Thinking back, it might have been prompted. There was like a picture of some concept art from the Overwatch team in which Ashe, who is a white playable character, was portrayed as a black woman with long curly hair. And I remember people having discussions about it. Obviously, I'm a black gamer, so people had brought it up. And so I just mentioned it towards the end of the conversation. But that was definitely not the focal point. The focus of the conversation was about, heroes that I wanted to see. To my surprise, people were ignoring the first 14 minutes and 30 seconds of the conversation to criticize the last 30 seconds in which I said that Overwatch should add a playable black female hero. Now, the funny part was the reasoning that they were criticizing me. So first they were saying that I was woke and that I was just complaining, but then they said, well, how could you forget Symmetra as a Symmetra main? You just want something to complain about. Symmetra is representation for black women. Now, if you don't watch me for Overwatch stuff and you don't know anything about Overwatch, because I know some of y'all don't, the character Symmetra that they are referring to, her real name is Satya Vaswani, and she is from Hyderabad, India. She is an Indian woman. Not only is she an Indian woman, she speaks with an Indian accent, and she has lines in Hindi. She has voice lines in Hindi. So I thought it was quite hilarious that these people that are trying to argue with me about black representation don't even know the difference between an Indian woman and a black woman. So that was the funny memory. So I put it in the meme, which says, when you briefly spoke up about the lack of black women heroes in Overwatch, and gamers told me to stop with the woke talk, and that Symmetra, Satya Vaswani from Hyderabad, India, is enough representation for a black woman. That's the meme. That's the joke. So now knowing that, go look at the comment section of this meme and see just how many people completely soared over the point of the whole meme, which was Symmetra is not a black woman, to project a conversation about the diversity of Overwatch that I never had, never was asked about, and was not the point of the meme in the first place. So now I'm gonna ask a rhetorical question. Those who get it. Those who don't. Why would people, hundreds at this point, react so antagonistically to a 5-second meme, create an argument that I never made, that argument being Overwatch isn't diverse, so that they can attack that argument and me, even though I never made it, just to tell me to shut up and that I shouldn't have an opinion and that I'm just looking for something to whine and complain about? Like, this is TikTok. This is TikTok. Do y'all even use this app? And the funny thing is, there are people trying to double down and say, well, you didn't give context. This wasn't a story. It was a meme recalling an event that happened a long time ago. There was no context needed. Any context that you needed, especially if you're going to attack somebody, should have been surmised when you read it. But the fact that y'all just came to the wrong conclusion, so many people came to the wrong conclusion and decided to attack rather than to even ask a question, is so telling. Which brings me to my next point of this. What is groupthink? So, according to Google, and I just Googled it, groupthink is a phenomenon that occurs when a group of individuals reaches a consensus without critical reasoning or evaluation of the consequences or alternatives. Groupthink is based on a common desire not to upset the balance of a group of people. Obviously, that balance is going to be maintained by the majority, and I'll let you figure out in your mind who that is. Now, if anyone had cared to ask me, do I think Overwatch is diverse? Yes, I think Overwatch is incredibly diverse. They've gone out of their way to try and make sure people are represented. They literally named Sojourn after a girl who wrote Overwatch and asked them to add a black female hero. So that's just not my opinion. But let's say I had the opinion that I didn't think Sojourn was enough, and I said that Overwatch has a lack of black female heroes, with one currently being in their roster. There's only one black woman out of almost 40 heroes. I don't think saying that that is a lack of black women in the roster is controversial. Once again, read the responses, because there is an air of shut the F up in almost all of the responses. Not genuinely trying to have a conversation about diversity. Literally, people who've probably never had a conversation about diversity in their life trying to school me on diversity and say, this game is diverse enough, shut up. Why even the initial conversation that even sparked the meme? Why would they ignore 99% of a conversation to harp on the last couple of sentences just because I said I wanted a black female hero? Like, why would they do that? Especially when like I said, I never even talked about diversity, but like, think about it. Why would so many people come to such an egregiously wrong conclusion and say that I need to shut up? Spoiler alert, they don't want to upset that balance. And whenever there's a gamer that looks like me or some of the other gamers in the community that don't just fit the typical mold of what quote unquote a gamer looks like, and they present differing opinions, whether they're a person of color, LGBT, trans, a woman, people are afraid that it's going to fundamentally change this community in which they've been able to say and do whatever completely unchecked, and are not used to hearing any differing opinions. Like, just thinking that I was giving an opinion on the diversity of Overwatch caused them to lose their minds collectively, and I wasn't. And if you've actually had conversations about diversity, you know it's always a work in progress. There is no end game. It's always progressing. So what y'all are really saying, even though you're trying to like hide it underneath all the smoke screen, is that Overwatch is diverse enough and we don't want no more diversity. Not Overwatch is diverse enough and they've done a good job. Which I think they have, which y'all would have known had y'all actually tried to engage in conversation instead of just attacking. But just some food for thought. Yeah, but y'all didn't check me on that meme. Y'all were wrong. I'm sorry. And yeah, back to regularly scheduled programming.